Okay, I'm pumped to be here. Hello, my name is Toby, and this is going to be another great session. I have some updates that I will be sharing after as well because a lot has happened behind the scenes. We're excited to be getting going with Magnate and with the community that I'm going to be kicking off, Retire from Corporate. But the goal of today's call is to talk about how to build a career that lets you live life on your terms. It was a long title, but I tried like 17 different ways to say it a little shorter. I couldn't figure it out, so I just went with what exactly I was trying to say. And we're gonna really break down and define a lot of things today. My goal is for you to walk out of here with clarity around what the life of your terms or on your terms actually looks like, and then a plan to get there. I want to encourage you to stay the whole way if you can, even if you're just listening. I want to give you some peace and let you know that I am recording so you don't have to worry. And I want to make sure that if you can think of at least one person that is in their career looking to get to that next level or to retire from corporate or to earn more money, that you send them this link so that they can join as well. Okay. As you know, everything that I teach is from personal experience. I've never claimed to be an expert. I've never claimed to be a recruiter for thousands. Everything that I've done, I have actually done myself, and I only teach it after I have specifically helped people get the same or better results. Okay, so whatever we're going to be covering today is going to be validated, it is going to be real, it is going to be something that you can use, and I really hope that you take some notes. If you don't have a physical notepad, open the note app on your phone or something, but I really want to make sure that you have complete clarity and that you get as much value out of this session as possible. Okay, so I'm gonna wait a couple minutes so that you can, or so that people can join, and then we're gonna jump right into it, and we will take it from there. And I'm gonna make sure that over here on this side, I am set up for all of the recording. Amazing. Okay, so we should be good to go. All right. Okay, so let's talk about how to build a career that lets you live life on your terms. Years and years ago, I got into tech sales. I was working as a tech salesperson, account executive to be exact, and it was good. Like, someone offered to pay me $40,000 coming out of school. They gave me an app to sell that was pretty bad, but I said, you know what, I'll sell the app. It should be fun, and it was terrible. For I think 7 months I didn't sell anything, and then 13 months in they went bankrupt. I wasn't the only salesperson. Someone had been stealing from the company. I mean, it was just all sorts of interesting things that had happened. But after I got into tech sales coming out of school, it dawned on me that when I was leaving school, I already had no idea what I wanted to do. So I just took the first thing, right? Like, and that happened to a lot of us. Like, we just kind of took the first paycheck that was offered to us, and we stuck with it. Right, we just kind of stuck with it and went, you know what, we'll do this. And then someone one day went, hey, do you want to do this other thing that will put food on your table? And you're like, yeah, of course, right? And I think that's how most of us ended up building our careers. So that was me, tech sales. Every time I went to look for a role after that, I would just search account executive, enterprise account executive, business development rep, business development manager. Like, what I knew was all I thought I could do. And so after the company went bankrupt and I was, pretty much broke because I hadn't been saving. By the way, save. I basically went and started looking for jobs. Like that's what you're supposed to do, right? So it took me like 4 or 5 months. I got another job. It was actually a lower base salary than my last job, 45,000. I'll never forget. But I took it, and again got into sales. And 6 months later, I'm fired. Right? I'm fired, and we go back in again. So this time, 3 months in, I go find another job, again, account executive, and do my best there. I never hit quota. I go from making $50,000 a year to like $64,000 a year. And it was okay, it was good. I'm not gonna, that's a jump, right? But it was bad because I knew that I was capable of more. Now, if you're here and you feel like you're working in a career, in a role, you're making what you make, you have your salary, but you like deep down inside know, like nobody can convince you otherwise. You know that you're capable of more. Can you just react with like any sort of emoji or just, one of those things at the bottom, like it's an internal thing. Like it's not, when people try to negotiate their salaries, they always go like, oh, based on market research. Forget the market research, because you can find market research for anything, okay? You can find market research justifying why you should be making more. You can find market research justifying why you should be getting less, okay? So what we're gonna focus on in this specific conversation is you. That's it. What you want, what you believe you deserve, and the life that you want to design using the career that you currently have. And again, let's go back to the beginning. Nobody wakes up going, as a 7 or 10-year-old, we don't wake up going, if I could just work 40 hours a week and make $2,500 a paycheck, I will live my best life. Nobody before someone put you in a box and asked you to pick something to study, nobody on this call had that as a dream. What happens is we use our careers to build our lives. And what I want to really address today is the fact that companies are so willing to use us as employees, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. It's capitalism. I have we thank God for capitalism, but also it's like, it can get really bad. Right? But companies use employees to become profitable, to generate revenue, to generate wealth, right? But here's the problem. Employees have an insane dependency on the company, because companies can find multiple employees to do the same thing, but you as a human being, you need one job to put food on your table, which creates this insane imbalance. Like a real imbalance in terms of dependency, right? Which means that you need your company way more than they need you. If you lose your job today, it might take you, I know someone that has taken them 8 months to find a new role. If your company posts a role, if you quit your job today, if your company posts that role, they could hire within 3 days if they wanted to. That is an unusual dependency. It is not an equal equation. Okay, for all of you that did math, both sides need to balance. So let's go through what I have here in my notes. Okay, and yes, I prepare for these very intensely. My wife will tell you. The first thing is this: you have to define the life that you want to live on your terms. I keep meeting these incredible people, incredible employees, incredible workers that have not defined what they actually want. They've not taken the time to determine how many hours do you actually want to work every week? Where do you want to work from? What do you want to be known for? What are you great at, and what would you love to do in the time that you're working? With the work that you're doing, what kind of impact would you like to have? How much time would you like to spend with your family and your kids? What do you actually want to be doing in the next 10 years of your life? And I'm like a little confused by this because you have to design it. You wouldn't go into a house or build a house that wasn't designed. Everything you wear was designed. The phone that you're connecting to this from, or the laptop you're connecting to this from, was designed. The city that you're in is designed. Everything that actually stands the test of time is designed. So my question is, why is your career and the life that you want not designed? Why isn't it something that you've taken time to go, you know what, this is what I actually want? Now, not this is what I want based on what I've gotten. Because this what always happens. I'm like, how much do you want to make? You've been making 60, now you're like 75. I'm like, no, how much do you actually, like, have you thought about it? Okay, if I want to travel every month and I want to live or stay in 4-star hotels and fly business class, have you done the math on that? Like, what do you actually want to make every year? So I keep coming across these conversations. Nobody's designed it. You haven't designed the life that you want to live on your terms. And here's what happens when you don't do that design work. Someone hires you at a discount to build their design. That's it. You have to pick one. You either build a life designed by you, or you build an idea designed by someone else. You don't have a choice on whether or not you do one or the other. You literally have to pick. If you don't pick to design your own life, someone's just gonna hire you. That's the only way you put food on your table. How much do you want to make? How often do you want to work? When do you want to work? How much flexibility do you want to have? How much choice do you want to have? All of these things make up the design. So that's the first thing. Okay? The second thing is, how does my career feed into the life I want to live? How do I use my career to build the life I want to live? Now, if you talk to your CEO, any of you that work for a company, right? If you talk to them and you ask them, what is how did you design this company, and ultimately, what do you want it to become or do? They will have, even if it's not a sure like bet or like vision or like a business plan, okay? They will have a plan. They will have some sort of endpoint that they want. Now, if I asked you today, what is the ultimate goal with your career? I think 10% of you would actually have an answer. And it should wake you up. I think 10% of you would actually have a legitimate answer on, like, this is exactly what I'm using my career to do in my life. So let me ask you a couple of questions that I want you to react to with these little emojis at the bottom here, okay, like that. Any of you thought of this? I feel like I'm not living my most fulfilled life. I feel like I'm not living my most fulfilled life. Like, again, there's no, yes, people can see your reactions, but this is you. There's people here, but I want you to just imagine you're in a coaching session with me. It's one-on-one. I don't feel like I'm living my most fulfilled life. Okay, I saw a bunch of people. Like, how about this? I don't feel like I can completely rely on my company to take care of me. This is like an internal thing, right? I don't feel like I can completely rely on my company, to take care of me. I'm watching these layoffs and I'm like, okay, we're not even 2 months in, there's been 56,000 layoffs. This is unprecedented, okay? How about this? Again, personal conversation. I want more time to spend with the people I love. It's a personal thing. Like, if you feel like you have enough time right now, like you have enough time to spend with the people you love, please don't react. But if you're like, yo, I need more time to spend with the people I love, okay. Now, you're seeing this. This is a common thing. Here's what I've learned regarding our careers. We want pretty much the same things. Now, how we get there is so individually coded that you have to choose the design. We want the same things. We want time freedom. We want financial freedom. We want flexibility. We want to be able to say yes and say no. We want to have choice, right? And those now look different the further you go down the paths. But ultimately, we want fulfilling lives. We want stability, yes, but we want flexibility, okay? So we're gonna talk through what that looks like and how you can start to make that happen, okay? But before we do that, I wanna walk you through why I'm the way I am. I came across this article years ago. It was the top 5 regrets people have on their deathbed. Now, death is one of those things as humans we don't like to think of. Here's what I'll say. The sooner you confront that it is inevitable, the easier it is to live every day like it's the last. Now, here's the best phrase I ever heard. Live like you're gonna die tomorrow. Plan like you're gonna live forever. I use that as a guiding light for my decisions, how I build, how I live. If you met me in the middle of a street, anywhere, you would meet me with the same amount of energy, passion that I have on any of these sessions, okay? So here are the top 5 regrets that people have at the end of their lives, and then we're gonna dive into how this is not going to be you, okay? The first one is, I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. This was put together by a palliative care nurse who, at the end of her patients' lives, she basically documented the 5 most common things they would say before they took their last breaths. So this is not like Toby's making this up. And some of you may have heard this, okay? But the first one, I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me, okay? The second one was, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. That was the second one. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. And she says that this came from every male patient that she nursed. Interesting, okay? Now, the third was, I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. So many of us suppress our feelings, right? And then we get to the end, like, you should have said something. Well, that was the third one. I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. The fourth was, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. And I feel like this is a good time to send a text message to a friend like, hey, miss you. And the fifth one was, I wish that I had let myself be happier. The first time I read this, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I did a talk about it during my time at Shopify. In that room was my head of revenue, our managing director at Shopify, and a bunch of my colleagues. There were people crying at the end of it. Because we don't realize that we're just going. You're just coasting until you're not. So this is a wake-up call. This is a wake-up call session, okay? And we're gonna talk about, okay, how do you actually build a career that lets you live life on your own terms? Here's the first step. I want you to follow this 4-step plan, okay? Here's the first step to living a life that will allow you to building a career that will let you live life on your terms. Here's the first step. The first step is you have to spend time discovering your zone of genius. I made a post today. It's not about spending all your time and energy mitigating your weaknesses. That's not what your energy is for. There's an old Bible verse that says your gift will make room for you. If I made a list of the number of things that I am bad at, it would far exceed the number of things that I'm good at. Why? Because the world is so much bigger than me. I can't skate, paint, or any of those things. I'm the most forgetful person I personally know, right? But there are things that I've now mastered. I'm an incredible communicator. I'm great at storytelling. I'm very consistent with one thing, right? And I've basically gone, okay, how do I make the most of these things that I've basically discovered to be my zone of genius? So it means that I can get paid $5,000, $10,000 to come speak, but I couldn't get paid $5,000 to $10,000 to code. And I've accepted that. I just have. And you need to as well. The first thing you have to do is find and master your zone of genius. How do you do this? Go back to the beginning. Talk to the people that knew you before you knew yourself. And I mean that. I spent 2-3 hours with my mom going, what was I like as a 3-year-old? And I spent about 6 hours with my dad just asking him about what was he like and what was I like as a kid and what was he like as a kid. And I went back to my roots and my origins to try to understand who is Toby without Toby, the account executive, the customer success manager. Like, who am I? That's really what I want to know. Okay? And you want to go and explore your zone of genius, which consists of this gift that you've been given, right? This thing that people keep saying you're good at, even though you don't believe them. It also consists of some skills that you've picked up along the way, right? Things that you can do incredibly well, but that you've taught yourself, but that are founded on the gift that you have. It also consists of the experiences that you have gathered along the way. So it's your gift, the skills, and the experiences. And you want to understand them. This is an analogy I always give. Spider-Man gets bitten by a spider, doesn't have control of the spider that bit him or what the spider did to him. But then he spends weeks and weeks practicing. Once the web, he's accepted that, now he's gonna function like a spider, essentially. He spent weeks and weeks practicing the front flips and the back flips and the building swings and all that stuff, which is where you start to master what you can do. Now, Spider-Man cannot be Iron Man. He cannot be the Hulk. He cannot be anything else. He is Spider-Man. This is the only thing that he's been given. What he does to get better is up to him. And then eventually, because he has spent the years mastering, he now gets called up to the Avengers, which was a big payday for him. That's what really put him on the map. Shout out to Tom Holland. But it's not that far in your career. You have to understand and exploit your zone of genius. I want you to be known for one or two things that almost nobody else can do as good as you. Your job is not to compete with the best. Your job is to be your best and to be a one of one. To be the only person with your own personal experience and the only person that can do what only you can do. The competition game is absolutely useless. There are too many people in this world. Everyone else is taken. You just want to be you. There's only one of you. Your DNA should then be able to permeate every project that you work on. Everything that comes to you to touch should have your fingerprint on it, because your zone of genius powers all these things, which then allows you to be self-aware. Now you know that you're gonna do well or fail in something because you know that you're strong in this and you're weak in this. When they tried to promote me at Shopify to customer success lead, I was like, bro, I'm gonna get fired in 2 weeks. I hate project management. That role is 90% project management. I don't know how to do it. I'm gonna suck. And I said that to my head of revenue. And he replied to me saying, well, if you could create a role for yourself, what would you do? I said, honestly, you give me a role where I'm coaching 80% of the time, I will be the best at it. I will be unbeatable. 3 months later, they create a sales coach role. I get that role. They give me a 78% pay increase. I go into that role, dominate that role, help hire the first 50 something people into that role, love it, enjoyed every single moment of it, built lifelong friendships doing it. And it paid me enough for me to focus on building my companies until I left Shopify and left corporate. So, my zone of genius, my communication, that gift, the experience, and the skill, all combined, made room for me. Now, is it just Toby? No. This is a legitimate thing. You double down on what you're good at, and you tell people about it. This is what I'm good at. And let it make room for you. Spend time mastering your zone of genius. Take skills, and I see people taking courses. You've been doing marketing, and now you want to take a coding course. Go and master what you're good at. Go all in. Go all in and invest in that zone of genius. Let it create room for you. This is the first step, people. In one of our programs, what we do is we do a human design reading and an Enneagram reading, and we help people see how they were built, your natural design. Because that is what you need to focus on. This is your secret weapon. This is why you cannot be replicated. And that's where you start, okay? So if you're here, just write down in your little notebook or wherever you're taking notes, master zone of genius. You have to, you can't just find it. You can't just be like, oh, I'm good at this. That's not enough to be bitten by the spider. You have to practice the swinging, okay? You want to master your zone of genius. I am the best at what I do. I tell that to people. I say it in my calls when I'm enrolling people. I say it when I'm working with company CEO. It doesn't matter. I'm the best at what I do. Why? I've spent now 10 plus years being the best at what I do, capturing and mastering it. At the beginning, I didn't have that confidence. Now I'm like, I spent 10 years doing it. Does that make sense? So think about it, right? It takes 10 days. They say it takes 21 days to build a habit. It takes 10 days to build consistency. It takes 100 days to build an unbreakable habit, like where you're just going to keep going. And then it takes 1,000 days to become a master. I've been posting on LinkedIn for 1,000 days, 1,000 plus days. But then it really takes 10 years to become a mogul, to a point where you're like, no, I would bet on myself any day. Does that make sense? So that's the first thing. You want to really master your zone of genius. Okay, here is the second thing. The second thing is you want to maximize your earning potential inside of corporate. This is your escape plan. For those, by the way, this is very important. We're building this community, Retire from Corporate. There's now 3,600 people on the wait list. I'm going to share the link in the chat later because we're like getting ready to launch. I'm very excited for it. I'm surprised at how many people have signed up. But retiring from corporate is not quitting your job. Please hear me. I am not anti-job because it's dumb to not have a job. You need to eat. Not everyone should be an entrepreneur. Not everyone should be an employee, and not everyone has to choose. There's a million different ways to do this. Okay, retiring from corporate is not quitting your job. Corporate is a mindset. It is a mindset that says, I will blindly follow my company and believe they will take care of me until the age of 65 when the government will take care of me. That is what I define as corporate. It's the fakeness of people going, oh yeah, you did really well, and then screwing you on your impact review. It's the fakeness of the leadership team going, oh no, we're not doing any layoffs, and then doing layoffs. That is corporate. By the way, there are great companies like Zapier, like Gumroad, that you should be working for, that you should not quit at all because they're great companies and they are not corporate vehicles. Okay? And then there are companies that you need to escape that I will never name because I don't want LinkedIn to kick me off. Okay? But understand that it is not about quitting your job. It is about having the flexibility and the dependence on yourself to build the life that you want. At that point, you have retired from corporate, even if you're keeping your job. In November of 2022, I had replaced my income at Shopify. And I said to my boss, hey, listen, I'm here now because I want to be here. I don't have to be here anymore. And I really enjoy it. By the way, I'm quitting in 8 months. I said that, told my boss in like November of 2022. I quit June of 2023. Between then and then, between November and June, all sorts of things happened. But at no time did I feel like I couldn't just walk away. They couldn't bully me or I talked back. When I thought things were wrong, I spoke up. When I thought things were not correct or people were getting cheated or I was getting cheated, I spoke up. I wasn't scared of someone firing me. I wasn't scared of retaliation. I had a VP that stole my LinkedIn post and then reported me and tried to get me in trouble. And I went back to the decision team and my boss and I said, if you ever bring this up to me again, someone retaliating against me for stealing my content, you will regret it. I was not scared of the corporate machine because I had built this thing that was going to sustain me. I don't want you to get lost in corporate. I don't want you to feel like, oh my God, I can't sleep because if I get laid off tomorrow, I'm screwed. I want you to retire from corporate mentally. I want you to be able to go, you know what? In the worst case scenario, I have 3 to 6 months savings. I make the same amount outside of work that I do in work. It's not about becoming a millionaire. It's not about any of that stuff, guys. Please hear me. I'm not on that train, okay? We're not all gonna become millionaires. It's not gonna happen. But understand that you can get to a point where you have more trust in yourself to provide for yourself and your family than you do the corporate machine. At that point, you have retired from corporate. That's all I'm trying to build. I don't care about the big numbers. I just want people to be like, hey, I'm gonna take, I had a friend quit their job this week because they asked for vacation 3 months ago. The company said yes. Vacation came around. The company goes, you can't take vacation. You're doing poorly. She checks her results. She's not doing poorly. They just didn't want her to take vacation because they're under pressure. She quit her job. What are we talking about? That's not fair. I've missed a wedding because of corporate. They're like, you don't have vacation time. So I understand that we're not all going to quit our jobs. We can't, by the way. That makes no sense. How are we going to help each other? How are you going to buy a house? The bank's not going to give you one. So I'm not saying quit your job. I'm saying mentally get to a point where you can live off your own resources so that the power that corporate has over you does not exist. Okay, thanks for indulging my rant. Here's the second thing, the second step. Maximize your earning potential inside corporate. There is money to be made once you've mastered your zone of genius. There is money to be made inside corporate, in your job. Do not quit your job. I say this on every call. And every week I get hey, should I quit No, don't quit your job, bro. Please, don't quit your job. Instead, you want to find where in your company or any company that your personality, experience, wisdom, and zone of genius will be the most impactful, and you want to craft a strategy to get there. Hear what I'm saying. You want to find which company, it could be in your current company, like I did. It could be in another company, like one of my friends who left Shopify making $71,000 and joined another company, a smaller company, and got a leadership role at $180,000 in one jump. So you want to find where within corporate your experience, your zone of genius, your personality, your wisdom is the most impactful and craft a strategy to get there. Again, we go back to design. Design a way to get there, people. That is where you want to start. When you work on something you are naturally good at, you can do it in less time, with less effort, and have better results than 90% of people. This is something they don't teach you. By they, I don't know who I'm referring to, but it's true. When you do something that you're good at, so think about how I communicate, and think about someone who has not spent 10 years mastering how they communicate. I can do more in less time. My sister can read a 300 page book in less than a day. If we had a job where I had to read a bunch of briefings and she had to read a bunch of briefings, I get fired, she gets promoted. No matter how fast I try to read now, she's been reading that way since she was like 7. So, when you do something you are naturally good at, you can do it in less time with less effort, have better results than 90% of people. Now, if you do that in the part of the company that is tied to growth or revenue, or anything that is in the profit center of the company, you can earn more while doing less. I'm not talking about laziness, by the way. I'm talking about strategy. It is not about working 60, 70 hours. It's about doing impactful work. Now, if you do impactful work and you're good at it, you can do it in less time. That's exactly what I did at Shopify. I was an entrepreneur at heart, and I was already a coach. I'd coached soccer and I'd coached people, right? And I've been selling since I was 15. So when they gave me a sales coach role, I don't know if you heard that. They gave me a sales coach role. I dominated. I exceeded my expectations. The last thing that I heard from my boss before I left in June of 2020, or 2023, sorry, she's like, hey, Toby, listen, honestly, even though you didn't do pretty much most of what we asked you to do, you exceeded expectations. We're giving you a 13% raise. That was like 5 days before I left corporate. I exceeded expectations, and I was not working 40 hours. I was working very, very effectively. Okay? So when you do something you're good at, you can do it in less time, less effort, and have better results. Your goal is to hit the highest total compensation you can within your company or within corporate. Salary, stocks, bonuses, RRSP or 401k matching, all of it. I'm talking all of it. Maximize how much you can earn year over year in corporate. Why? Because you need to buy assets. You need to set money aside, 3 to 6 months of savings. The less risk averse you are, the more money you should put away. Okay? So I have a friend that has 2 years of savings saved up. I'm not exaggerating. He did this exact thing. He found his zone of genius, got into corporate, maximized how much he was making, and then he started saving like a crazy person. And he bought 3 houses because the bank would let him qualify for it, rented them all out. And then he saved 2 years of it. I mean, this is insane. I was with him when he was making 40,000, by the way, and I watched it happen. Okay? So, this is the second step. Please, master your zone of genius. Second, keep your job, maximize your earning potential within corporate. Before I left Shopify, I was on track for $220,000 a year. I left in the middle of the year. My first salary, guys, was $40,000. I still suck at Excel numbers, spelling, and a bunch of other things, but I doubled down on what I'm really good at. And so that's what you want to do. If you're still here, can you please react with an emoji? I hope you're getting a ton of value out of this. I have lots and lots of notes on this. And we're going to answer questions, my favorite part. Okay. All right. So in your notes, I want you to write this sentence. Get paid in corporate. They have the money. They want to pay you. I have a friend that inside his corporate job, yes, he's a software engineer, doesn't matter. I have a friend that inside his corporate job makes, I'm not exaggerating, $450,000 to $500,000 a year. Software engineer, crazy, I know. Now, I have another friend who is not a software engineer, who started at a company making $35,000 base a year. This year, he's going to make $1.5 million a year because he's gone from BDR all the way to chief revenue officer. So it's not like there's no money in corporate. There's money in corporate. I knew VPs in tech that were making $800,000 a year. So you just have to find that thing and go all the way. I'm not saying climb the career ladder. That thing is dumb. Don't climb anything. Go deeper and deeper into your zone of genius until people want to pay you a lot for what only you can do. That's what you should be doing. Not playing the politics game. Go deeper and deeper into your zone of genius until people want to pay you for what you can do. Okay? So I need you to write it down. Get paid in corporate. Okay? Third step to building a career that lets you live life on your terms. Build leverage. So when you're getting paid in corporate, by the way, get as many assets as you can. Not as many, but get assets. Get things that, I have a friend who's making $185,000 a year in his own little freelancing thing. He's trying to get a house. The bank is like, nope, we're not giving you a house. He's making twice as much as he was when we were at Shopify together. The bank is not going to give him a house. Why? They're like, oh, you don't work for a company. Now, we don't ask questions. Why is the system set up that way? I don't know. But it is set up that way. So when you start caking it in corporate and you're making all this money, that is a good time to get a rental property. It's a good time to buy lots of stocks. It's a good time to put some money away. It's a good time to get assets. This is not financial advice. I think I have to say that. But it is a great time to get assets because this is the safest you'll probably be in terms of having steady income, right? In terms of being in corporate. And when I say safest, I mean to the banks. not actually safe. You could get laid off. But to the banks, it's the safest. Okay? And so that's what you want to do when you're kicking in corporate. But the third step, which is the final step, which is something I see a lot of people not do. The third step to building a career that lets you live life on your terms is you have to build leverage. You have to build leverage, people. What is leverage? The ability to do more in 24 hours through resources, media, code, labor, capital than you could do on your own. So think about this. If I wanted to find 262 people to listen to me, I would have to text people one by one and talk to people one by one. Because I have a platform on LinkedIn, you're all here. We call this leverage. There are 4 types of leverage. The first type of leverage, and this is taught by Naval Ravikant, who's founder of AngelList, investor in Twitter and Uber and all these places, but he teaches there's 4 types of leverage. The first type of leverage is capital. If you just have a lot of money, you can have a lot of leverage, right? So you can buy some Airbnbs, you can invest in property, you have capital, right? You can get leverage. The banks will give you money to spend, right? That's not most of us. The second type of capital is labor. So you think of a restaurant owner who has 20 people working for him that can serve 200 people a day. He can't serve 200 people a day in his restaurant, but he has labor as leverage. Those two are permission leverage. You need someone to give you money. You need people to work for you. Those are the old forms of leverage. The new forms of leverage are the other two. So here's the third one, media. Media meaning social media. A profile like I have 230,000 followers. I had leverage. I have leverage to launch things. I have leverage to build. I had leverage to quit my job. I had leverage to generate over $1 million from my LinkedIn profile. That's leverage. I couldn't do it on my own, but I did it through social media. But people do it on TikTok and Instagram and all these other places, right? And then the fourth one is code. So there's a company called BuiltWith that allows you to see, you go on any website, it'll show you what technology they use to build. the website. Okay? Built With is a one-person company doing $14 million a year. One guy, code, $14 million a year. That's leverage. Okay? So you have to build leverage. It doesn't need to be big. You don't need 200,000 followers. My top student in my LinkedIn program has 17,000 followers. That's $30,000 to $50,000 a month in revenue. You don't need a ton of leverage, but you need leverage. What exactly are you going to live this dream life on? Unless you're like a trust fund baby, in which case you probably wouldn't be on this call, right? But if you have leverage, if you have something that is yours, an email list. I have a friend that has $90,000 people in his newsletter. That's leverage. Every year you could sell for $1 a playbook to your 90,000 and make 90,000. I mean, that's just like a, very simple equation, but that's leverage. You need leverage. I hate when I always ask people have been coming up to me more, hey, I want to quit my job. I'm like, okay, how much do you have saved? They're like, oh, I have this much. I'm like, that's not enough. I'm like, okay, what are you going to do? Like, how are you going to make money every month? They're like, oh, well, I'm thinking that I could start. I'm like, start? Yo, you can't start after you quit. You have to have leverage before. One of the girls I know is a data scientist. She has 100 something thousand followers on LinkedIn. She has 50,000 followers on Instagram. She has 18 or 20,000 followers on TikTok. She does $10,000, $20,000 a month just in brand deals. Just in brand deals. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Just in brand deals, that's leverage. No business. She does not have an actual business, in terms of employees and brand deals. Okay, so you have to build leverage. Please don't be an idiot. You are not going to quit your job without leverage. You have to have something that's going to carry you, that's going to fund you, that's going to allow you to take these trips. Me and my wife travel every month. I'm very excited for it. We did Amsterdam. We're going to do Houston, Cancun, Portugal, Japan, all these different places. But it's because I took 4 years while I was working. People, while I was working, I took 4 years to build leverage. You can build leverage in 1 to 2 hours a week. I'm not saying build a business. Please hear what I'm saying. I'm not saying build a business. Not all of you should become entrepreneurs. Some of you will suck as entrepreneurs. I know it because, some days I wake up, I'm like, what am I doing in one of my businesses? Okay. But you need some sort of leverage so that you can now live off your own resources. This is the base. This is the secret. This is it. This is why I feel so free. Okay? So, all that to say, people, step 1, find and master your zone of genius. Step 2, get paid as much as you possibly can inside corporate and buy assets at that level. Step 3, build some sort of leverage that you can use to fend for yourself and make more money outside of corporate. At this point, you have retired from corporate. You can live life on your terms. You can work remote, quit your job, come back. If you want to go back to corporate, you can just say, well, I'll just use my zone of genius and go back. Since I left Shopify, I've still been getting job offers. They're like, Toby, we need someone charismatic that can come lead our sales team. I know that I can go back, right? So your zone of genius is going to help you in that sense. You have some assets. You have some things to fall back on. That's going to help you as well. And then you have leverage. You want to make $500,000 a year, you have 200,000-300,000 followers, you can do it. You have an email list of 40,000, you can probably do it. Okay? So you have those 3 things. At that point, mentally, quitting your job is a whole other thing. Mentally, you can retire from corporate. You can stop playing the game. I have a student She's literally working at a company, but she makes as much as her chief financial officer. She saw it. From her from her side hustle, which we built using LinkedIn, she makes more than her chief financial officer. I don't know why I said it like that. Chief financial officer. At the company that she works at, which by the way is $100 million company. Now, understand that she knows that, okay, if she gets laid off, she's fine. So she just comes to work, gives her best, doesn't let things get to her emotionally, just gives her best. Every day, she brings her best self to work. Something happens, doesn't bother her. Imagine if you could do that. Just show up with your best self. And she's literally the best at what she does. Like, I've seen her work. And I've seen her actually doing her work. It's incredible how good she is. But she's not caught up anymore. That is the retirement from corporate I'm talking about. Everyone talking about retiring at 65 and the RSP and the 401k. Listen, guys, I've met retired people. They didn't want to wait till 65 to enjoy their lives. You can just start enjoying your life, still do work you love. All of them get bored or don't have money. You're young. You can do things now. If you retire from corporate at 35, you have 30 years that you save. If you do it at 45, you still save 20 years. If you do it at 55, you still save 10 years. Now, if you build leverage, maybe you can do it in 3 years. I retired from corporate a year and a bit before I expected to retire from corporate. And then I quit my job. I don't know if you caught that sentence. I was done mentally. And then I quit my job 8 months later. Okay? So that's really what I wanted to share with you today. Okay? It's always high level with me because, there's so many different ways to do it, right? But for those of you that have not signed up for our community, right, the Retire from Corporate community, which is going to be launching soon, I'm putting the Magnet 8 Retire from Corporate link in the comments of this. If you signed up already, please don't sign up again. And if you haven't signed up, please sign up. Okay. We're going to be building it in Circle. I'm just sharing the link. So we're going to be building it in Circle. And we're going to do you're going to have some ambassadors, obviously, that are going to be able to have like lifetime access. But anyways, we're going to be building it in Circle. If you have your phone on you, like, I would encourage you to download Circle, which is just a community app. We thought about Discord, we thought about Slack, we thought about all these different places, but I didn't want to put it in Slack because Slack is work. Slack is literally corporate. And I was like, I'm not putting this in Slack. And then Discord is like Discord. We're gonna have programs, courses. I have a list of guests that are gonna be coming in to teach you how to make money on TikTok, how to make money on Instagram, how to make money on LinkedIn. And then I'm gonna bring some accountants to teach you how to keep your money and not get in trouble with the government. And we're just gonna keep bringing people in because it's not about having one way. It's about having all the options. And then we're gonna have programs on specifically how do you actually find your zone of genius. From finding your zone of genius, and we have like a whole model built for this, by the way. From finding your zone of genius, then how do you actually find the roles that are going to pay you the most? And here we have a list of 150 companies that all just got funded that we're gonna float the best students to. And then we're gonna build a platform, well, not really a platform, everyone says platform, but essentially in your profile, we're gonna be able to match you to companies and they're going to pay to get you. So you're not gonna pay to get, they're gonna pay to get you, right? And then we have programs on how do you actually build a business. And you'll be able to, you're building a business, you're struggling, you can just talk to someone who's also building a business, right? So really, I've been on this for a long time now. Community is the future. It really is the future. Like, it's not about just paying once for like a $10,000, $5,000 program. It's about having the ongoing accountability and support and insights to keep building towards, like, think about what I'm saying. It's the life that you're building. It's not 6 weeks of building, it's a life that you're building, right? And we're going to do it in such an interesting way because it's going to be weekly access, which means you're paying for access every week. And if you leave, you got to wait 12 months to come back in. I'm doing that on purpose because I don't like when people give up on themselves. By the way, it's not like it's not an expensive thing. I'm going to build the most accessible community that I think I could possibly build. But it is important that you go week over week. I'm going to stick it out to get out of here, to get out of the corporate mindset. This is not for everyone. I don't care. It's not supposed to be. It's about you deciding within yourself. Here's a definition of resolve that I heard that really changed my life. Resolve is promising yourself that you will never give up. That's the community I want to run. That's who I want in that community. People are like, you know what? I'm going to get to a point where I trust myself more than I trust my company. And we're going to do it together. There'll be live Q&As with me, live Q&As with some really awesome people that I've already built relationships with, that have said yes to this. And I'm so pumped for it. So I put the link in the chat. I don't have anything to sell you today. Honestly, like, this is where my next focus is. We've already filled the cohorts for my LinkedIn Founders Blueprint, and I'm very excited for that. But this is it, okay? So find your zone of genius. Get paid. Build leverage. And then you can retire from corporate. We're gonna take some questions. You can throw your hands up in the air and wave them like you, I'm just kidding. You can put your hands up. We'll start with Ashani. Hi, Ashani.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh my gosh, first of all, I love your content. Like I always say, there's certain newsletters that I actually pay attention to. Yours is definitely one of them.
Thank you.
I'm definitely an entrepreneur. I've just been an agency recruiter most of my career, and I've started my own business. I failed multiple times. My big question to you is, God, I suck at corporate. It sucks. I'm at it was my first run, but it's definitely, I feel like, a muscle that I need to build just because I'm so used to kind of doing things on my own, which I know is